The Stonehenge mystery, finally solved. How do you move a 6-ton boulder 400 miles without any tools involved? For nearly a century, scientists believed this ancient wonder was built by local tribes using nearby stones. But groundbreaking DNA analysis of Stonehenge's most important rock has revealed something that defies every historical record. The massive altar stone at the heart of the monument didn't come from Wales as experts thought. It was hauled over 400 miles from Scotland, across treacherous terrain, without the wheel, without modern tools, and for reasons that go far deeper than anyone imagined. The evidence we're about to reveal suggests our ancestors weren't primitive Stone Age farmers building a simple calendar. They were sophisticated political conspirators who encoded messages in stone, created acoustic weapons, and built the world's first resistance network, the DNA bombshell that shook archaeology. But what scientists found when they cracked open Stonehenge's genetic code left them speechless. The altar stone has been staring archaeologists in the face for over a century. 6 tons of sandstone lying flat at Stonehenge's center, perfectly positioned to catch the winter solstice sunset. For 100 years, experts were absolutely certain they knew its origin story. Dr. Herbert Thomas, the geologist who first studied Stonehenge's stones in the 1920s, declared with complete confidence that the altar stone came from Preseli Hills in Wales. It made perfect sense. The smaller blue stones scattered around the monument came from Wales too. Case closed, mystery solved. Or so they thought. In 2018, everything changed. Dr. Richard Bevins from Aberystwyth University decided to subject the altar stone to the most advanced geochemical analysis ever performed on ancient rock. Using cutting-edge mass spectrometry, his team examined the stone's mineral composition with precision that would have been impossible just decades earlier. The results were shocking. The chemical signature didn't match anything in Wales, not even close. The levels of thorium, zirconium, and other trace minerals pointed to a completely different geological formation. After months of testing rocks from across Britain, the team made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. The altar stone came from Scotland, not 150 miles from Wales, but over 400 miles from the Orcadian Basin in northeastern Scotland. The distance was staggering, but what made it truly mind-blowing was when they realized this happened 4,500 years ago during the Stone Age, when Britain's inhabitants supposedly couldn't even invent the wheel. Professor Mike Parker Pearson from University College London, one of Britain's leading Stonehenge experts, called it the most significant discovery about Stonehenge in my lifetime. But he also admitted something that made his hand shake. If they brought this stone from Scotland, everything we thought we knew about these people is wrong. But that was just the beginning of what would become the most controversial archaeological discovery of the 21st century. The impossible journey. However, transporting a 6-ton boulder 400 miles without modern technology should have killed everyone who tried. Imagine this. You're a Stone Age farmer in Scotland around 2500 BC. Your most advanced tools are made of bone and stone. You've never seen a wheel. Your strongest rope is twisted animal hide. Now imagine someone asks you to move a rock that weighs as much as 4 modern cars from Scotland to southern England. You'd laugh in their face. Then you'd back away slowly because clearly they'd lost their minds. Yet somehow, impossibly, ancient Britons accomplished exactly this feat. The journey from the Orcadian Basin to Salisbury Plain crosses some of the most challenging terrain in Britain. Mountain ranges, dense forests, hostile territories controlled by different tribes, and rivers with no bridges. The logistics alone would challenge a modern construction company with trucks, cranes, and GPS. Dr. Joshua Pollard from Southampton University spent years studying Neolithic transportation methods. His conclusion was brutal. Moving the altar stone from Scotland would have required hundreds of people working in coordination for months. The resources needed would have bankrupted entire communities. No sane society would attempt it unless the stakes were literally life or death. The ice road theory fell apart when climate scientists proved Britain was actually warmer during the Neolithic than today. The river route theory collapsed when engineers demonstrated that a 6-ton stone would sink any prehistoric raft. Even the most optimistic estimates suggested that the journey would take 6 months and require a minimum of 200 people working continuously. But here's where the story gets really disturbing. Archaeologists examining the route between Scotland and Stonehenge have found evidence of Neolithic settlements that were suddenly and violently abandoned around 2500 BC. Burnt buildings, scattered tools, and mass burial sites suggest communities along the path were destroyed during the same period the altar stone was transported. Dr. Sarah Sheridan from Sheffield University made a chilling observation. The archaeological evidence suggests someone was willing to wage war to move this stone. Entire communities may have been wiped out to clear the transportation route. What could possibly have been so important that ancient Britons were willing to sacrifice hundreds of lives and bankrupt multiple communities just to move a single rock? But what archaeologists discovered next made the transportation mystery look simple by comparison. Britain's first civil war. What scientists uncovered about 2500 BC Britain will make your blood run cold. The genetic evidence is undeniable and absolutely terrifying. Around 3000 BC, Britain was populated by peaceful Neolithic farmers who had lived on the island for over 1,000 years. They built the first version of Stonehenge as a simple circular ditch. They buried their dead with care and ceremony. They lived in harmony with the land and each other. Then the invaders arrived. Dr. David Reich from Harvard Medical School led the genetic analysis that revealed Britain's darkest prehistoric secret. DNA extracted from burial sites across the island shows that between 3000 and 2000 BC, up to 90% of Britain's original population was replaced by newcomers from continental Europe. This wasn't peaceful migration or a gradual cultural exchange. Dr. Reich's data reveals it was systematic extermination. The invaders, known as the Beaker people because of their distinctive pottery, swept across Britain like a plague, wiping out entire bloodlines and erasing whole cultures. What we're seeing in the genetic record, Dr. Reich explained, is one of the most complete population replacements in human history. It's genocide on a scale that wouldn't be matched again until the modern era. The timing is crucial. The Beaker invasion began around 2800 BC and accelerated dramatically around 2500 BC, exactly when someone decided to transport the altar stone from Scotland to Stonehenge. This wasn't coincidence. It was desperation. Archaeological evidence from across Britain tells a horrifying story. Neolithic settlements burned to the ground, mass graves filled with women and children, defensive earthworks hastily constructed around previously open communities. The peaceful farmers were fighting for their lives against technologically superior invaders who showed no mercy. Dr. Janet Montgomery from Durham University studied isotope evidence from Neolithic skeletons found near Stonehenge. Her findings were brutal. Many of these people show signs of violent death, skulls fractured by beaker weapons, bodies that weren't properly buried because there was no one left alive to perform the ceremony. The original Britons were facing extinction. Their communities were being systematically destroyed. Their culture was being erased. Their children were being slaughtered. But they didn't go quietly into that dark night. Instead, they hatched the most ambitious conspiracy in prehistoric European history. However, what they built to fight back was far more sophisticated than anyone imagined. The acoustic weapon. But Stonehenge wasn't just a monument. It was designed as a prehistoric espionage device that could hide secrets from enemy spies. Dr. Trevor Cox from the University of Salford made a discovery that changes everything we thought we knew about ancient Britain's technological capabilities. Using laser scanning technology, his team built a precise 1/12th scale replica of Stonehenge called Minihenge to test the monument's acoustic properties. The results were nothing short of extraordinary. Stonehenge functions as an ancient sound chamber designed with NASA-level precision to create perfect acoustic isolation. Conversations held inside the stone circle are amplified by more than 4 decibels, making every word crystal clear to those within the ring. But anyone standing outside the circle can barely hear what's happening inside. It's like a prehistoric cone of silence, Dr. Cox explained. The acoustic engineering is so sophisticated that it rivals modern concert halls. These weren't primitive people stacking rocks randomly. They understood sound physics better than most modern architects. The acoustic barrier isn't accidental. The size, spacing, and positioning of each stone was carefully calculated to create maximum sound isolation. Computer modeling shows that even small changes to the stone arrangement would destroy the acoustic effect completely. But here's what makes it truly sinister. The acoustic properties only work when all the stones are in place. This means Stonehenge's builders encoded their acoustic weapon into the monument's final design phase, exactly when the beaker invasion was reaching its peak. Dr. Rupert Till, a musicologist who studied Stonehenge's acoustic properties, made a chilling observation. This level of acoustic engineering suggests military applications. Stonehenge could have served as a secure communication center where resistance leaders could plan operations without fear of enemy surveillance. The implications are staggering. While the Beaker people were using bronze weapons and superior military tactics, the original Britons were developing acoustic countermeasures that wouldn't be matched until the invention of electronic surveillance. The altar stone's position at the acoustic center of the monument takes on sinister new meaning. Anyone standing near the Scottish stone during secret meetings would be at the optimal position for both hearing and being heard by all participants, while remaining completely invisible to Beaker spies lurking outside the circle. But acoustic espionage was just one weapon in the Britons' sophisticated arsenal of resistance technology. The mind control calendar. However, what archaeologists discovered about Stonehenge's hidden mathematical code reveals a conspiracy so advanced it shouldn't have been possible for another 3,000 years. Professor Timothy Darville from Bournemouth University cracked a mathematical cipher that had been hiding in plain sight for over 4,000 years. The sarsen stones forming Stonehenge's outer ring aren't randomly placed. They form a sophisticated perpetual calendar based on a 365.25-day solar year, a calculation that supposedly wasn't perfected until the Roman era. The system is diabolically clever. The 30 upright stones of the outer circle represent the days in a prehistoric month, divided into 3 10-day weeks. 12 cycles of 30 days gives 360 days. The 5 massive trilithons at the center account for the additional 5 epigomenal days needed to complete a solar year. Most remarkably, the 4 station stones positioned around the monument's perimeter function as leap day calculations, allowing the calendar to remain perfectly synchronized with the sun's cycle for decades without adjustment. This isn't just impressive for the Stone Age, Professor Darville explained. This calendar system is more accurate than anything used in Europe until the medieval period. These people understood advanced mathematics and astronomical cycles that wouldn't be rediscovered for millennia. But here's the truly terrifying part. Control of the calendar meant control of everything. In a pre-literate society, whoever commanded the calendar commanded agricultural cycles, religious festivals, trade negotiations, and military campaigns. Stonehenge gave its controllers godlike power over the rhythms of life itself. During the Beaker Crisis, this calendar system became the ultimate weapon of resistance coordination. The monument could signal the precise timing of seasonal gatherings, coordinated attacks, or harvest distributions to allied communities hundreds of miles away. While Beaker commanders struggled to coordinate activities across their expanding territory, the original Britons had a communication system that could synchronize operations with astronomical precision. The winter solstice alignment, when the setting sun illuminates the altar stone through the monument's southwestern tritholon, marked the beginning of the resistance calendar year. This was when representatives from Scotland, Wales, and across Britain would renew their blood oaths and receive their orders for the coming year's operations. Archaeological evidence suggests this calendar conspiracy was far more extensive than anyone imagined. The Stone Circle Mafia. What researchers found next suggests Stonehenge was the headquarters of a criminal organization that operated across all of prehistoric Britain. Dr. Mike Parker Pearson's excavations in Wales revealed something that made his blood run cold. At Crag Rosafellin, the Welsh site where some of Stonehenge's bluestones originated, his team discovered empty stone holes where an entire prehistoric stone circle once stood. The stones hadn't fallen or been buried by natural processes. They had been deliberately removed, leaving behind only the sockets where they once stood. Someone systematically dismantled this stone circle and transported its stones elsewhere, Dr. Parker Pearson explained. This wasn't random quarrying. It was organized asset stripping on an industrial scale. The implications are staggering. The original Britons weren't just building Stonehenge. They were cannibalizing existing monuments across Britain to create a network of allied sites, each incorporating stones from partner territories as symbols of mutual commitment. Recent excavations have identified over a dozen Neolithic monuments across Britain that show evidence of stone transportation from distant locations during the same period as Stonehenge's construction. These sites form a communication network stretching from Scotland to the English Channel, each positioned for optimal visual contact with neighboring monuments. Dr. Vincent Gaffney from Bradford University used ground-penetrating radar to map the landscape around Stonehenge and made a shocking discovery. Hidden beneath the modern countryside are the remains of at least 20 additional monuments, earthworks, and stone circles that were active during the Beaker Crisis. Stonehenge wasn't an isolated temple. It was the central headquarters of a vast resistance network. The monuments were positioned to enable beacon communication across hundreds of miles. Signal fires lit at one site could relay messages to the next, creating a prehistoric telegraph system capable of coordinating activities from Scotland to southern England in a matter of hours. Computer modeling of the network's communication capabilities reveals it could transmit complex coded messages across the entire length of Britain in less than 24 hours, faster than any communication system that would exist again until the invention of the telegraph in the 19th century. The transportation of the altar stone from Scotland represents the ultimate expression of this criminal conspiracy. By placing their most sacred stone at the heart of the network's central command center, Scottish communities were making an irreversible blood commitment to the anti-Beaker resistance. But what happened next reveals just how far the conspiracy was willing to go to save their civilization. The final gambit. But even this sophisticated resistance network couldn't stop what was coming. And their final desperate gamble reveals the true horror of prehistoric Britain. By 2000 BC, the genetic evidence shows that the Beaker invasion had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. DNA analysis of burial sites reveals that in some regions of Britain, up to 95% of the original Neolithic population had been eliminated. The Stone Circle network fell silent as resistance communities were systematically destroyed. Dr. Inigo Olalde from Harvard Medical School, who analyzed genetic data from over 400 ancient British skeletons, made a chilling observation. The population replacement we see in Bronze Age Britain is more complete than what happened to Native Americans after European colonization. It's ethnic cleansing on a scale that's almost impossible to comprehend. The great stone monuments that once coordinated resistance activities were abandoned as their builders were slaughtered or enslaved. Stonehenge itself was gradually forgotten, its acoustic secrets lost, its calendar system ignored by Beaker conquerors who brought their own ways of measuring time and organizing society. The Scottish communities who had sacrificed their sacred altar stone for the Alliance were among the last to fall. Archaeological evidence from northern Britain shows desperate defensive preparations around 1800 BC, massive hill forts, hidden weapon caches, and mass cremation sites that suggest final, hopeless battles against overwhelming odds. The altar stone became a silent witness to their civilization's end. The Scottish sandstone that had traveled 400 miles as a symbol of alliance and hope was left lying in the ruins of a monument whose purpose the new inhabitants could never understand. But the most horrifying discovery came when archaeologists realized what the Beaker people did with the bodies of their victims. Mass graves near Beaker settlements contain thousands of Neolithic skeletons showing signs of systematic execution. Men, women, children, and elderly people were killed with identical bronze blade wounds, then buried in unmarked pits like garbage. Dr. Janet Montgomery from Durham University made the most disturbing observation of all. The Beaker people didn't just conquer Britain, they erased it. They systematically eliminated every trace of the previous culture, including its people. What we're looking at is prehistoric genocide carried out with industrial efficiency. The original Britain's sophisticated resistance network, their acoustic espionage technology, their mathematical calendar system, and their Stone Circle Mafia couldn't save them from a simple, brutal truth. Bronze weapons beat stone tools every time. Their only victory was in coding their secrets so thoroughly in stone that it would take 4,000 years and modern DNA analysis to rediscover the truth about their desperate fight for survival. But that truth reveals one final, shocking secret about who we really are. The blood secret. The DNA doesn't lie, and what it reveals about modern Britain will change how you see yourself forever. When Dr. David Reich's team analyzed genetic samples from modern British people, they made a discovery that rocked the scientific world. Despite the near-complete population replacement 4,000 years ago, traces of the original Neolithic British DNA survive in the modern population. Not much, less than 10% on average, but enough to prove that some of the original resistance fighters escaped the Beaker genocide. Their genes live on in millions of people walking the streets of Britain today, carrying the blood of the world's first organized resistance movement. The altar stone's journey from Scotland wasn't just ancient history. It was the desperate gambit of our ancestors, fighting for their lives against extinction. The sophisticated conspiracy they built around Stonehenge, the acoustic weapons, the calendar control system, the stone circle communication network, represents humanity's first attempt to use advanced technology against overwhelming military force. They lost the war, but they won something more important: immortality. By encoding their secrets in stone and hiding their DNA in the surviving population, they ensured their story would eventually be told. The chemical analysis proving the altar stone's Scottish origin is more than just scientific evidence. It's a message from the dead, written in geological code and preserved for 4,500 years. The message is simple but profound. We were here. We fought. We mattered. Modern Britain isn't just the product of Beaker invasion and Roman conquest. Deep in our genetic code, in our landscape, and now in the stones of Stonehenge, we carry the legacy of the original resistance fighters who refused to surrender without a fight. The mystery of Stonehenge has finally been solved, and the truth is more shocking than any legend ever imagined. Our ancestors weren't primitive farmers building a simple calendar. They were sophisticated conspirators who developed advanced technology, organized resistance networks, and fought the first documented war of extinction in human history. Every time the winter solstice sun sets behind Stonehenge and illuminates that Scottish stone, it's lighting a torch that has burned for 4,500 years. A torch carried by the first people who looked at overwhelming odds and said, "Not today."
For nearly
Not
a century,
without a fight.
Scientists believed this ancient
torch
wonder
still
was
burns.
built by local tribes using
now you know
nearby
why.
stones.